Well, g'day Year 7s, and here's another video for exercise 3E in this case. So we are looking at powers. Alright, so let's get into it. I want to try and keep this under 10 minutes if I can, keep it nice and quick. So this is just some general information that we're going to read through, but most of the details and things that you need to write down are going to be in this next slide. So let's just deal with this one first though. Alright, so when repeated multiplication of the same factor, so basically the same number, alright, so for example 5 times 5 times 5, and I could keep going if I wanted to. Alright, so repeated multiplication of the same factor occurs. The expression can look quite cumbersome, so it can be quite lengthy and just be a bit painful really. So mathematicians have a method for simplifying such expressions by writing them as powers, and we'll have a look at that in a minute. Alright, so here's some key words you just need to get your head around. This involves writing the repeated factor as the base number. There's another term. Alright, so writing the repeated factor as the base number, and we'll look at that one in a sec, and then including an index number. Okay, to indicate how many times this factor must be multiplied by itself. So if we just had this, for example, 5 times 5 times 5, 5 would be the base number, and the number of times it's been multiplied by itself, 1, 2, 3, that is our power, and it is just written up there. Okay, so it's not written over this side. Okay, it's always written to the right side and just a little bit above, and it's a smaller number. Okay, this is also known as writing the number in index form. Okay, so it's also called index form. Okay, so here are some of the notes that you guys need to take down. So powers are used to help writing expressions involving repeated multiplication in simplified form. Yep, we've got that. So if you're asked to write it in expanded form, this is what it looks like. Alright, so in this case it's 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8. So that's the expanded form. To write it in the simplified or index form, simplified or index form, you then write the number being multiplied by itself, which is the 8, and then write as the power or the index the number of times it's been multiplied. So in this case 5, so it'd be 8 and 5 like that. Okay, so make sure you write this in particular down. Alright, I want you to write this one down as well. All of this section needs to be written. So when writing a basic numeral as a power, you need a base number and an index number. This is also known as writing an expression in index form, which I've spoken about. So again, here's your base number, being your number 8 is your base number. Okay, your index number is the power, just sitting above it, and then your basic numeral is the actual number it's representing. So if you did 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, I think that was 5 times, you will get 32,768, and that is your basic numeral. Okay, so a few key things: expanded form, that's what it looks like. Simplified form or index form, this is what it looks like. Okay, your base number is the number being multiplied. The index is the number of times it's being multiplied, and your basic numeral is the answer, I suppose. All right, what all that equals. So 8 with the little 5 above it reads as 8 to the power of 5. So if I ever said, for example, or how would you write 9 to the power of 6? Okay, 9 to the power of 6. Alright, that's the index form or the simplified form, or you'd have 9 times 9 times 9 times 9 times 9. Pen doesn't want to work very well. Times 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that is the expanded form, and on that question I really don't know what the answer is, but yeah, okay, but that would be the basic numeral, whatever the answer is, whatever that equaled, and I don't know that off the top of my head. That one is a little bit challenging. Alright, okay, so 8 is repeated 5 times. Alright, so 8 to the power of 5, that's what it looks like. Now, this is a couple of other notes that are also important. This first one, powers take priority in the order of operations, and we're talking about our, remember, it's not BODMAS anymore, it is now BIDMAS, okay, and that's the I, okay, so that's the indices part. Okay, so indices. Alright, so in the order of operations, when you do any problems involving order of operations, yep, you still do the brackets, but most of the time you haven't had indices, or at this probably any time you've had to deal with indices during order of operations. So normally you just deal with your division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. But now that you are going to learn about these guys, the I really comes into play. So if we've got a problem like this, 3 plus 2 times 4 squared, there's no brackets there, so I don't have to worry about that. So now we've got to worry about the indices. That's first. So we've got to actually expand that out. So the 3 plus 2 stay as they are. We expand the 4 squared, which is 4 times 4, which is 16. Okay. Then we can deal with the division, multiplication, addition, subtraction. So the multiplication part first. So 3 plus 2 times 16 has to be done first. Okay, according to our order of operations. Got to deal with the division, the division multiplication part first. So 3, and then that should be not times 32, that should be a plus 32. There, it's a bit of a boo-boo in their explanation there, which should equal 35. Okay. Alright, so order of operations, very important. Now, the other thing too, and this is what a lot of students do, 2 to the power, just say you had 2 to the power of 3. Okay, a lot of students tend to write this as 2 times 3. Okay, remember that is not correct. Do not write it like that, please. Remember, 2 to the power of 3 is telling you that this base number is multiplied by itself 3 times. So it looks like 2 times 2 times 2. So please don't make this error. And I know some students do, and in my experience quite a few students still do that. So it's time to get rid of that little mistake that it's 2 times that number. It's not that at all. Just remember that's a base number, and that's what it's how many times it's being multiplied by itself. Alright, so it is a common mistake and it must be avoided. Must. Alright, so let's get on to some examples. Alright, so expand and evaluate the following terms. I need to expand it first. So 2 to the power of 4. Remember, it's not 2 times 4. It is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2. 4 times. Okay? So now we can evaluate that, which means we've got to find the answer to it. So 2 times 2, I'm just going to do it in parts. 2 times 2 is 4. And this times 2 and this times 2 can just drop down. Now I'm going to do this part. 4 times 2 is 8. And then this times 2 is just going to drop down. And 8 times 2 is 16. Okay, and there is my answer. Okay, next one. 2 to the power of 3 times 5 to the power of 2, or 5 squared. Okay, so same thing. Let's expand these out. I'm actually going to put these in brackets because of this multiplication symbol in between them. I'm going to put these in brackets. So 2 to the power of 3 looks like 2 times 2 times 2 in brackets, multiplied by more brackets because I'm going to expand that one out. So write an expanded form first. So that's what I've done each time. Write it in an expanded form first. Now I can do it. So 2 times 2, I won't do this in parts like I have here. 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8, multiplied by, I can get rid of the brackets now because it's just one number. 5 times 5, which is 25. 8 times 25, well I know 4 times 25 is 100, so double that. 8 times 25 must be 200. Okay, and I do know that they are correct because I have checked the answers. So yeah, they are correct. All right, hopefully you understand that. So best off when you get problems like this, put them in brackets. Okay, put them in brackets, separate them up so you know that you've got to deal with them first before you do any other operations. Okay, second example. Alright, so what I want you to do is I want you to pause this. I want you to have a crack at both of these. I know this one might be a little bit more tricky, but have a go. Put the powered parts in brackets and see if you can work them out. This one I reckon you can be able to do. This one might be a bit tricky, but have a go anyway. So I want you to pause this and then come back and yeah, we'll go through it and see if you've got it right. Off you go. Okay, welcome back, and hopefully you have paused it. Again, no point not having a go at these things. Very important that you have a go and have a crack at all the problems that I set. So anyway, let's get on to this. So 7 squared minus 6 squared. So write an expanded form first, and I'm going to again put them in brackets. 7 times 7, 6 squared. Remember, it's not 6 times 2, it is 6 times 6. So base number, and how many times? Twice. Okay, 7 times 7 is 49. So I can get rid of my brackets now. I've got one single number, so not needed. 6 times 6 is 36. So 49 take 36 is 13. How'd you go? Did you get that one right? Hopefully you did. Okay, if you did, then you're starting to get your head around this, which is good. Okay, we're just on the 10-minute mark of this video, so let's get this last one done. 2 times 3, so I'm going to write this out, so the 2 can stay there, because now I've got to write the 3, so 2 times, and then I'm going to do the 3, and hopefully I can fit all this in, times 3 in there, plus 10 squared, so the plus can go there. Now I'm going to do the 10 multiplied by 10, okay, plus, now I may not be able to squeeze this in, so 1 times 1 times 1 times 1, that's 4, 5, 6, and 7. And that is a times there, it's not a plus. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1 to the power of 7. Alright, so this 2 times can just, again, just drop straight down because I'm not dealing with that yet. I'm not doing anything with it because I've got to expand or evaluate all of these ones that I've already got here. So 3 times 3 times 3, so 3 times 3 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Now I can get rid of the brackets. Plus 10 times 10, which is 100. And plus 1 times 1, 7 times is just simply 1. Okay, so according to my BIDMAS, and I'll just write it over here, BIDMAS. Okay, brackets I haven't had to deal with. The indices I've just dealt with. Division, multiplication, well there's no division, but there is a multiplication, so I need to do this part next in my order of operations because these are additions. So 2 times 27, 2 times 20 is 40, 2 times 7 is 14, 40 plus 14 is 54, plus 100, plus 1. So I've done my multiplication, there's no subtraction, so all I've got to do is my addition. So very simply, 54 plus 100, which is 154, plus 1 is 155. All done. And again, I know that is correct. Okay, so how'd you go? Hopefully you got that one right. If you got that one right, you are cooking with gas, well and truly. You shows that you do understand it and you know how to work it out. And that's again how I've done this is how you should be showing your working out. I don't care if it's a little bit lengthy and takes a bit of time. You just need to make sure you show all steps and all parts of your working out and underneath each other, like I have here with the equal sign. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense to you. Hopefully I now understand powers, and you know, in your younger primary years when you're seeing these squares, okay, now you can now expand that out and you know what 5 to the power of 20 would look like, for example. It would be a hard one to solve, but you know what that actually means. Okay, so make sure you get these notes down in particular. Okay, that's very important. Yeah, and please, this is the big one. Please don't make this mistake. All right, we don't want to do that. Make sure it is now this way. Okay, all right, so that gets you sorted now for exercise 3E. So yeah, when we get to class, you can get cracking straight into that one. All right, make sure if you've got any questions, come and talk to me. Again, if you're not sure about any of the information I've gone through, best idea is go back and watch the parts again that you're not quite sure of. Listen to the explanations. If you're not sure of explanations, write some specific questions down that you come in and ask me. Okay, all right, otherwise I shall see you in class. Oh, by the way, saw an article about a restaurant on the moon. Yeah, they've got a restaurant on the moon. Apparently the food is fantastic, but yeah, unfortunately there's no atmosphere, so it's actually quite boring. Anyway, leave that one on a nice joke. All right, thanks guys. Bye bye.